Happy Saturday. No, I've not been in here very much at all. I've been doing the whole post and ghost thing because I just needed a social media break. I could really feel it, and I needed to be able to focus on all these big things that we're trying to get the pieces sorted out so they can fall together. So sorry for being absent. My wrist is feeling a lot better. I'm still trying to be careful with it so I don't re-injure it. But that being said, I get to use my Acetylene Air Torch today, which I have not gotten to use in over 2.5 years because of something really dumb. And it just points to that whole, like, I'll get it done tomorrow thing, or I'll try to figure it out later. The husband gave me a kick in the butt because I've had this acetylene tank. I got it, exchanged it up in Washington State, and then have never been able to open it. Have had multiple people try, and like it just will not open. So Aaron was like, why don't you just call one of the local places here and see if they'll exchange it. Guess what? They did at no cost. So it's the next day. I did not get a chance to finish up that stuff last night like I really wanted to. Had some family stuff pop up, and then I just totally lost steam. And one of the projects I was working on really needed an extra long sit in the pickle. So I really love this torch. This was the torch that I first saved up to get when I first started metalsmithing. I had just butane blazer torches to get me through, but one of my first investments was getting an acetylene air torch, which I love a lot. And it's very versatile. It comes with a lot of different tips, and it can handle very heavy duty stuff. So I have had this tank literally since we lived in Washington, so like over 2 years, and yeah, it's like over 2 years old. So I haven't been able to use it because I just can't get it open. So, and even Aaron tried. It's stripped my key out, which they call, because this is called a plumber size or B tank, which is a really common size for metalsmiths to use. So I called the local place here, and they're happy to swap it out for me. Just kind of a bummer because I already went through all the trouble of getting my regulator put onto it and everything, but I couldn't ever even leak check it because I can't get the valve open. So it's kind of a dumb situation, and I realize it's a dumb situation. So we're just going to unhook the regulator, and hopefully I'll have my acetylene air torch up and going by tonight because I need it for this project I'm working on. It really would be helpful to just be able to have that big of a strong flame. I also have a Smith little torch that I love a lot. However, for really big projects, it's just not my favorite. I find it very frustrating to work on bigger stuff with. Now the other thing is like, can I get this back on it? Good. When I get my regulator hooked back on the hopefully new tank, or they're going to try to open this one and see if they can get it open. I don't think they'll be able to get it open. It's really glued shut. I will do a little video on properly hooking the regulator up and how to leak check and all that and things to not do. Happy to do that because sometimes it's just hard to find information like that readily on the internet. And luckily I was able to find some and get some help when I was first kind of struggling through all of this. I also need to buy some more cell phone holder stands because this propping situation is not working out to my favor. So anyways, my valve is shut for sure because I can't get it open in the first place. So I'm carefully taking this off. It's very important that you don't like knock your gauges around and everything for your regulators. I'm going to very carefully and gently set that down here. Always put your wrench somewhere nearby. I know some people literally keep it on a chain by it. Animal hospitals I even worked at, we did that with the oxygen tank just because it's so annoying when you need to change the tank out and you can't find a darn wrench to get it done. So we are gonna go hopefully swap this baby out, or they can just get it open for me because it's been such a pain in the butt. And I miss my torch, and I was super pumped to have this long hose because I thought I would be utilizing this fella. But as you guys saw hints of, I am upgrading per inspiration from Adriana, but also Pablo Cima de Villa. He also uses that kind of setup with just a better more efficient casting machines. So here we are. I feel like that'll be safer too with having my little guy down here for homeschooling. Doing the old school way, I feel like is just a little bit more dangerous in general. And it'll take up way less space, which means more room for activities. It is still today. It's been a long day. It's late at night, but I ended up having so many errands in town to run. The good news is that the place in town was super great about switching my tank out. They could not get it open. They gave me a new hex key, or it's not a hex key, but just a new key, and then also gave me a different style tank this time, which I've never had before, and actually has like a turn valve on the top that you don't need a tool for. So I'm really excited about that. I'm going to go grab it. I left it up in our garage. I was feeling so tired. Everyone's asleep, but I have work to do, so I'm gonna go get it, try to quietly sneak it down here so I can get that hooked up, and I'll videotape myself yeah, hooking it up and doing like the leak test and stuff. So I will do that so you can see that. And then I still need to do my bucket stuff for PMRS. I was gonna try to get it mailed out today, so it looks like I'll have to mail it out. Probably honestly won't be able to mail it out till Friday, but we're trying to get out of town mid-morning tomorrow to go camping and hiking, which is important to our family. We've barely gotten to do that this summer, which is crazy because I feel like the summer is almost done. And where we live, it's so beautiful, but you only get such a small window to enjoy the mountains by where we live, and that window is closing. So I feel like I need to earn the time to go play, which is kind of hard. I just see all these projects sitting there that need to get done, and I really need that torch set up to finish this project. So my client is probably very anxious to get it. So anyway, that's where we're at. All right, it's go time for the new acetylene tank. And like I said, this is the B tank, or the plumber size bottle. We need to first secure it here. One thing I'm gonna look forward to having my old jeweler's bench back in here is that I had a better way to secure the tank to my bench. So down here, I'm a little bit loosey-goosey, and I know I need to figure out a better situation for it, but I'm just getting this little tiny baby tie down. The biggest thing is you want to just prevent it from being able to be knocked over. It's very important when you're dealing with combustible, flammable gases that are in tanks that are under pressure. You really need to make sure that you're doing the right thing with keeping them there. I recommend getting a chain or a jeweler's bench. What I did is I got one of those oversized metal collars that you can put on pipes, like a hose clamp. And that was my husband's idea, because they do make hose clamps that are actually big enough to fit this tank. So we kind of did like a bracket on my bench and ran the hose clamp through it. So I needed like a screwdriver to like loosen it up. But that would be such a better situation than it's kind of a little bit of a hokey situation I got going on here. But this will do for now. And you just want to make sure it can't get knocked over. So, and luckily this floor is a little squishy, and so because this bottle is heavy, it really kind of digs into it. So yeah, you just want to secure that. Like I said, this could be better. Something is better than nothing. And then some people like to use straight up chain. So the next thing we need is our wrench. And I like using a big one. It's a lot easier to keep track of. But you could use a smaller one too. And the other thing too is that when we get ready to do our leak check, you really want to make sure that you're using a specialty liquid for leak checking. You do not want to use like WD-40 or anything that could have oil, fat, that sort of thing in it. because it can really cause problems with the fuel, and you just don't want to have any extra combustible things on the outside. So this stuff I've had forever, since I've had this torch. So we're pushing, I think I got this, so probably like 6.5 years maybe that I've had this. And then mind you, I didn't use it the last 2 years because I couldn't get the old bottle open. But this bottle, which I'll include a picture of, this is just all-purpose leak detector. This is from Ace Hardware, and it literally says on the front, for use with gas, oxygen, and air. Okay, it's non-combustible. It says that right on the label, and you can see how much is left. So I've switched out a lot of tanks during the time that I've had this torch. This does not cost very much, so it'll last you a really, really long time, but this is what you want to use. I've heard people say soapy water and stuff, but when it comes to like combustible gases, I just always err on the side of the caution. I'd rather just spend a few bucks on getting something that's made for that purpose, just to be safe. So we're gonna remove this little cap, and usually there'll be like a protective cap of some sort that helps them also keep track of when a tank has been filled. But you can tell by the weight of it if it's full or empty, because there is actually a substantial difference, which you wouldn't think there would be since it's a gas, but there is a difference. Okay, so took that off, put that in the garbage, and then I'm going to figure out how I want my regulator angled. I think I'd like it to stay in line with my bench here. I like it being out of the way, so if I'm walking through the studio, I don't want it to be bumping into the regulator or anything. So if I do it kind of in line with the edge of my table, I know it'll have space too. And then also with the new layout, I sketched it all out for the studio. Went through and measured everything last week, spent a few hours on it, figured out where we're gonna be putting my little guy's school stuff, which will be over there. There's some big shelves and stuff, but I'm moving my old jeweler's bench. Once I get it in here, will be here back to back with my wood carving bench. So I may be moving this once I have that bench in here, but for now this is perfect. The hose is really long. It reaches my current soldering station, so we'll roll with that. So this is what the regulator looks like for an acetylene air torch. Because this is acetylene air, it only requires one tank. Now you can have an acetylene oxygen tank or propane oxygen. So like my little Smith torch requires 2 tanks. It requires an oxygen tank and it requires propane tank. I wanted oxypropane for that one because I knew I had acetylene here. So I kind of wanted to balance out my options. And then I have 2 different butane torches as well. So I have 4 torches that between one of those it will get any job done. So this is what the inside of the regulator looks like. And then this is the collar that will be slipping over to secure itself onto the threads of this. If I remember correctly, which has been a while since I switched it out, I believe this is reverse threaded, I think. So usually you have like the righty-tighty, lefty-loosey parameter for most threads, especially for turning things off or on, but I believe this is reverse threaded, so be very careful the first time, second time, the third time you switch your tank out that you are not trying to force it to thread the wrong way, because you do not want to cross thread it and ruin the tank or ruin your regulator. Regulators are kind of expensive. This one's actually a new one because I felt like my old one had the diaphragm or something in the inside started sticking after a while, but I got a lot of use out of the old one. So the biggest thing here is you want to make sure that you're making it so that your release here for the diaphragm is easily reachable, but also your gauges are kind of out of the way from general traffic so they don't get bumped. And I'm going to try to hug up this inner part as much as I can straight, and I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, it's reverse threaded, so if I'm looking at the front, it's, I don't know, whatever, just you can tell where it is. So I'm going to hand tighten it as far as I can. Get that nice and tight. And then that also gives you a chance to kind of adjust this and make sure it's at the angle you want. You know, some people have to look down at their torch and they like to have the gauges kind of tipped back so they can see it from their bench. I prefer just having it straight up and down. So got that pretty tight. I'm happy with that. I might just tip it back a little bit. And then I'll actually move those stuff down a little bit. Oh, it's because I have my stamping block up here. It's so funny, the little things you have to fiddle with. Okay, so it's out of the way, so it's talking about my gauges. So sometimes access into this can be a little bit tight. So just take your time and try to not get frustrated and try to not bump your gauges if you can. The other time that you'll need to leak check, or other parts you'll need to leak check, especially when you're first getting your torch set up, and then it's good just to do it periodically anyway, is to double check your hose and your handle attachment for leaks. And then I've got a selection of tips for my acetylene air torch. I have, I don't know if I've used this one yet. It kind of looks like I have. That might have been for like a really big heavy cuff forever ago. I would say the most common sizes that I've used in the past for my acetylene air torch, depending on the project. I thought the numbers were stamped on here somewhere. The one that's on here is the one that I've definitely used the most. And I can't remember. Oh, this is a 0. Here we go. That's where it's stamped. This is a 00. So 00's got an even smaller orifice or opening. So this would be like, so your finer, tinier work. And then this was my most common size. So like either my 0 or my number 1 tip are the two that I use the most. But I have used these really big ones. You just have to be very careful once you start getting into the really big stuff. I'm going to try to get the job done with this 0 torch for the big piece that I'm working on, so that'd be great. So I'm going to put these other ones in here. So we're going to leak check this and how I'm going to do that. Let's see if it'll let me. I don't know if it'll let me zoom in on it or not. I'm going to try a tiny bit. Okay. I promise I'll get a better setup here. So what we're going to do is they give me this great little turn knob. Normally you need a key like this to open up the bee tanks. They have just a stem, a square shaped stem valve that points up, and there's no handle on it, so you need to put this on there to open it. But this one I got a cute little dial. I'll take it. So I am going to open this. Okay, my gauge went up. I don't know if you saw that or not. That's because it's a full tank. Okay, my pressure's not up yet because I have my diaphragm open. So what we're going to do is close. Okay, make sure that your torch is not open. Okay, I heard my torch going, so closed that, but also let's put a little bit of pressure in our diaphragm. Okay, I don't like that I do not like that my tip is making noise already. That's not a good sign. So I'm gonna go ahead and bleed this out, but you should be doing it anyway. Let's see what's going on here. I've not used this in a while, so it could be that just wasn't seated in there all the way. Also, hopefully my knob housing itself is good and okay on my torch handle here. Should be. It's concerning to me that I heard it making noise, but okay. So definitely don't smoke any cigarettes, folks, while you're doing this. Okay, no open flames around. Be smart, very smart. Don't do this near like a heat source. In wintertime, don't do this right next to your space heater. Just be smart. Good ventilation. Okay, so we're gonna try this again. I'm gonna open this. Okay, my gauge went up. And I'm gonna go ahead and leak check here. This looks great. Looks like a good seal. You would know if it had a leak because it would be constantly bubbling. So this looks good and tight, which is great. So next, I'm gonna check this attachment here where it comes out. So you probably won't be able to see it in the block in your view. I'll try to spread it from the back. Okay, that looks nice and tight. I don't see any bubbles on that. And then you can obviously, wipe up your mess as you go. This stuff has a weird smell to it. You know what it smells like? 90s kids will get this. Remember GAC? That really weird slime that would come in that splatter shape. It was like Nickelodeon slime. This, if that's what it smells like. The spray smells like GAC. It's very weird. Okay, so I want to check this handle. All right, that looks good. So now let's see if I can turn up, kind of tension that diaphragm again and see what the heck the deal is with it. So, you want to have some pressure on your hose because that's how your torch is going to work. Okay. My knob was open. That'll do it. Luckily, it wouldn't have it on for too long. Okay, so if I'm tensioning this, we should see this pressure gauge go up. Okay. I don't see any leaks there. Now let's go ahead and test it again, just to be on the safe side. And all these tips have like a rubber gasket inside of here too, so just make sure that when you're changing your tip out that you make sure it's threaded. Before you use it, make sure it's threaded. Sometimes if a torch gets bumped around a little bit, you never know if a knob or something could accidentally get turned on. Like this was open. So I think we're in good shape. It's always good to double check, and I still have plenty of fluid left. I didn't really use that much. And looks good, dude. We're ready to go. I'm so stoked. I've missed this thing. Now that being said, it's been so long since I've used this. There is different handling for an acetylene air torch than there is for a little Smith torch or for a butane torch. So I'm gonna have to be careful and kind of go at it slow here to begin with, just so I don't end up accidentally melting a piece or something. Acetylene can get really hot. I mean, my little Smith torch gets very hot. You can definitely melt things very easily with it. My issue is that I'm working on such a big piece right now and it's silver. So I need to be able to like spread heat out to the whole piece. And I've not yet done a piece this big since I've been in this particular studio with this particular setup. And because it's a little colder down here, I wonder if the cuff has just had a hard time either keeping heat or getting universally heated. So we're gonna try it out tonight and hopefully we have some good luck. And yeah, just stoked to have this up and ready. I freaking love this torch, so I'm excited to have it up. I would just like to report that this really heavy big cuff that I have tried soldering more times than I can count with my little Smith torch and my butane torch and my Big Shot butane torch. Soldered the first time using my Smith Acetylene Air Torch once I swapped out to this size tip, which is a number 1. Oh my gosh, how much I have missed that torch.
All my time I'm waiting you to answer the phone. Nothing seems to happen, but the last stage is gone. I hope somewhere your voice promises less and us more, but still my pillow's on the floor. Anyone could say that we are never.
I am so glad that I finally got my acetylene torch going, my acetylene air torch. This is Smith brand, their silver Smith setup. I have not had luck with soldering super heavy duty stuff ever since I've been in this space. And as you can see, this is a daylight basement. Those are cinder blocks and a concrete wall, right? Concrete floor. Like even in the summertime, it stays pretty cool down here, even though we have windows. And I think it just I haven't been able to get enough heat out of my torches to counteract the temperature down here in order to work on such a big piece. And historically, you know, I used to have a studio at one point in our garage up in Washington. It was really drafty, and in the wintertime, I'd have a hard time getting things to solder if it was heavy duty stuff. And I ended up using a lot of these kiln bricks to kind of almost make like an oven type of thing where I could like solder it inside of the oven. But it's just hard for accessibility. It's super awkward to reach in there. It's hard to see when the solder's flowing. I'll probably end up needing to buy, let's see, I have big one there. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 soldering bricks. I think I'm going to end up expanding this out. Maybe I'll do 1, 2, I don't know, maybe I'll order like 3 or 4 more of those and see if I can kind of make a really insulated corner there. And that might help with a lot of the heat reflection moving forward. But since historically I've done a lot of custom work, I mean, I just kind of go with the flow because I know I'm capable of doing that stuff. I've made big cuffs before. Made this cuff. I've made a really heavy duty men's cuff that had a couple of really beautiful high grade stones in it. And then I've done a lot of the style that is the traditional split band cuff. So this is still hot and I'm letting it air cool because with silver, we want the silver to stay malleable, and if I quench it too soon, that can actually make some of the silver brittle, considering how long I had to heat this for. But this, as you can see, is not a split band cuff. And this is 16 gauge sheet. So, plus I soldered back plates onto it. It just really needed a lot of heat. And I'm just so grateful I was able to get it. It's really frustrating when you know you can do something and it's just not working. So, I've been struggling with this cuff for a while just because of the heat problems. So I'm grateful that my husband gave me the kick in the butt to get the acetylene tank swapped out and even call and ask if they would do that. I just hate asking things of people and I'm really stubborn and I like to try to figure things out on my own, and I felt like not being able to open the tank was annoying and there had to be a way to open it. I should have just asked a long time ago. But oh well, here we are. So learn from my mistakes.
All my time I'm waiting you to answer the phone. Nothing seems to happen, but the last stage is gone. I hope somewhere your voice promises less and us more, but still my pillow's on the floor. Anyone could say that we are never